So what I'm getting at is one of the quotes I'm going to be putting up in the house is, "A man chooses, a slave obeys." Now, that's from a BioShock game, a video game, right? Growing up, I used to play. And the reason behind that quote and why that kind of hits me so hard is, if you think about your mind and you think of it from, a man chooses, a slave obeys. Well, a lot of people operate specifically with the reptilian brain, which is the subconscious. So if you look at your brain, you have the conscious portion of your brain, which is the tip of the iceberg. You have the subconscious, which is beneath the surface. The subconscious actually does most of the functions of which we operate upon. So I'll give you an example. The subconscious would basically cause you, like if somebody cuts you off, your subconscious is going to instantly go, "Oh, that guy's a fucking asshole," right? It's your knee-jerk responses, your reptilian programmed brain. So the fact that your brain is like a program, that means that no matter what you're coming across, a lot of times if you don't think things through and you're not in the moment, you're going to be run by the programming of which is actually beneath the surface if you are not conscious of what you're doing. However, if you become conscious, become a man, right? Conscious. By becoming conscious, you get the ability to choose, and you get the ability to choose the reaction to the stimulus that shows up in your life at that time. So I'll give you another example. When, like, let's say for starters, I have PTSD, right? I have some stuff that I'm dealing with, skeletons in the closet and stuff, and sometimes I get hit with random bouts of just panic attacks and anxiety. And I look at that quote, "A man chooses, a slave obeys." I'm like, okay, am I a man or am I a slave? And at the end of the day, yes. Do I have some shortcomings that I got to work on? Do I have these panic attacks that I deal with from time to time? Sure. But if I were to obey the subconscious programming or whatever, damage or defect from my past has caused this to be my response to a trigger or a stimulus that is external, something in the environment, well then I'm being a slave to the programming of which was given to me, or it makes me almost like a victim if I don't become conscious. Now, that's not saying that I'm not going to have any more panic attacks. That's not saying that I'm not going to have any anxiety. What I'm trying to say is that by me becoming conscious of that, I can choose to do something about it. I can choose to go and get the therapy needed. I can choose to go to a hypnotherapist. I can choose to face the stuff that I've dealt with in the past. It gives you a choice. And the reason that I put these quotes up around my house with a picture that means something to me, the picture I think I'm going to be using is actually from BioShock. It's one of the big daddies. It's one of the characters. And he's basically on the ground, and like the little sister is crying next to him, like basically saying like, "Daddy, get up," right? Because there's been so many times in my life where in some way, shape, or form I've been beaten down. A lot of times, it was emotionally or mentally, but a slave would choose to stay down. And this can metaphorically be applied to any problem of which you're dealing with or facing or whatever. A slave obeys the programming of the mind. The last example I'll give you is even in the dating scene. So the whole point is a man would choose to get back up.
Yes.
Right? A man would choose not to give up to in that visual of the Big Daddy being down on the ground is like how I have felt a lot of times in my life. And it's just a reminder that when I walk by that photo, like, because I'm going to basically Photoshop this together, that's how I make my quotes, as you know, put them up on my wall. When I walk by, subconsciously, my mind, I read that. over and over and over and over, just like that one from Rich Piana that says, you know, get out there and do whatever the fuck it takes to reach your fucking goals. I walk by that every fucking day that I wake up. It's right outside my bedroom. And that just reminds me, whatever the fuck it takes. You know, within my consciousness, whatever the word is, as long as it's not against my moral code, do whatever it fucking takes. And I get it ingrained in my brain, and I highly recommend people do this kind of thing. But so the last thing I'm gonna put, I mean, this applies to women, you know, it's just the quote that a man chooses, but a woman chooses, whatever. The point is, everything is programmed to you, from the media to the society that you live in, to the people that you talk to your parents, to the upbringing. I mean, your parents do the best they can with what they've got, but if your parents don't have a lot of attributes that are positive and actually healthily applicable, healthy, you know, things to pass on, they pass on bullshit. That's your programming. But you don't have to be a slave to it. You don't have to, like, if you were made fun of as a kid and you were bullied and you were always beaten down and stuff, you don't have to be a slave to that mindset to feel like, oh, well, my self-esteem is shit. It's always been shit. It's always going to be shit. No. Fuck that shit. You're not a slave. You're a fucking man. Work on your self-esteem. You know, take a class. Take a public speaking class. You know, talk to people about, you know, what you had going on. You know, get therapy if you fucking need it. Like, you have a fucking choice as to what it is that you want to do. And, you know, like I was saying in the last example, like, you know, in relationships, there's a lot of people who have been programmed to think that if they get involved with somebody, they're not afraid of getting involved in a relationship. They're just afraid of what if it fails again. You know, they don't realize that they can choose not to be afraid of that and to take a shot and to, you know, not give into the programming that, oh, this is just going to go to shit because this one went to shit and this one went to shit and this one cheated on me and da-da-da-da. Dude, not everybody's the same. It's just not that way. But if you give in to the programming that you've got, especially when it's on the negative side, and you give in to your knee-jerk reptilian subconscious responses, I mean, you're living your life by somebody else's programming, because if you're not conscious and choosing what you are going to do, then you're living on autopilot, and you're going to take whatever turns have been programmed into you. So, what's that?
You're a slave to your mind.
Yeah. So that's the next quote that I'm putting up on my walls. A man chooses, a slave obeys.
Fuck that, don't put me on your level. I am not like you, I'm not gonna settle. Body bag, got a right tag, I'll be right